All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Trans Day of Visibility Conference. My name is Shannon, spelled Channyn. Middle name is Lynn, Lynne. Parker is my last name, Parker. I am the CEO of Brave Space Alliance. So today on this Trans Day of Visibility, you will hear my colleagues share narratives that are both harrowing and filled with resistance. I'm going to take a moment, however, to speak as Shannon Lynn Parker. And what I'm about to share with you is a perspective of my own. I am not here today asking to be seen. Trans people are oftentimes labeled as an invisible population. There is nothing invisible about us. In front of you and behind me are all flesh and blood people who have been historically ignored. I am not here to beg you for humanity or ask you for a place in your heart. That is sentimentality. I leave that up to your individual values and moral compass. But whatever your moral leanings are, the ultimate tenet should be to do no harm. And while I do not have a particular ask for you today, I do have a demand. I demand justice. I, along with my siblings here, whether they are of trans experience or affinity, demand that justice can be found from the courtroom to the desk of law, policymakers, and beyond. I demand the justice of equity, the ability to gain full access that enables me and mine to live a life of our wildest fulfillment, wholly unfettered and unbothered. This and more is the justice that I demand today. Viewer, remember this: my liberation is wrapped into yours. They came for me, and daily you see how they are coming for you. We are not just here today, but every day, 365 days a year. Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up Iggy Ladin, pronouns they, them, Executive Director of Chicago Therapy Collective.
Hello. My name is Iggy Ladin, I-G-G-Y, like the song. Last name, L-A-D-D-E-N. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the executive director of Chicago Therapy Collective, a nonprofit that strives to serve and improve the mental health and well-being of trans and queer people across Chicago. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate Trans Day of Visibility. We start today in City Hall with all of you, and we end the day with all of our community on the north side. So I want to extend the invitation right now to join us for our town hall, where you will hear directly from community members about the concerns that they are feeling right now, and hear from our representatives about what they're going to do about those concerns to ensure that Chicago and Illinois remain a sanctuary city and state for trans people. But today, we honor trans people everywhere, not just in Chicago, not just in Illinois, but across this country. Across this country, trans folks are needing our support, needing our allyship, and needing us to back them in the ways that they are asking to be backed. Today, we honor the courage that it takes our trans community to live authentically in a world that is asking them and intimidating them into hiding. Our visibility is powerful. We will not hide. It is resistance. It is a declaration of our existence, a beacon of hope for those trans people who do not yet feel safe being visible. But today is also more than visibility. It's about truth. And as a therapist and a trans person and a non-binary parent, I want to speak my truth today, my family's truth today, my clients' and community's truth today, and what I believe are the American people's truth today. And that is that just as we cannot live healthy and real lives as people without standing in the light of our truth, we cannot live healthy and real democracy without living in the light of truth. So today we're going to speak about truth. Number one, our current president, Donald Trump, and his dystopian reality TV show of an administration are a threat to trans people and a threat to democracy. They are a threat to the very spirit of freedom that links the two. Trans people are not one political party's punching bag and another political party's weakness. We are the very essence of what it means to be American. Yes. We will accept nothing short of our full self-determination. Right now, the current administration is putting out executive orders and public narratives that are trying to twist the truth. They are painting trans people as a danger to women and girls. They are painting our civil servants as waste. And they are framing DEI as a handout. This is not leadership. This is not truth. This is cowardice. And this is projection with a national press team. As a therapist, let me take a moment to explain projection. Projection is when someone takes the worst parts of themselves and blames someone else for those parts of themselves. And it is happening constantly in American politics, especially towards groups of people that are easy to scapegoat. So, what do we do in the face of these lies? What do we do in the face of these projections? Well, let's take a page out of our trans community's playbook. We are going to be practicing truth-telling right now, like our lives depend on it, because our lives do depend on it. Trans people's lives depend on truth-telling every day. Who is a threat to women and girls in this country? A 12-year-old trans girl in your district who wants to play on her school's volleyball team with her peers, or a 78-year-old straight man who has faced allegations of sexual harassment and assault from at least 25 women over decades, and who now holds the highest office in the land. Let me be clear, trans girls are not a threat. Abusers in positions of power are a threat. Who's misusing government resources and failing the American people? The thousands of civil servants fired from the VA, EPA, DOJ, HUD, HHS, FAA and the Department of Education, who show up every day to protect our safety and health and our rights, or an administration focused on dismantling those agencies while handing out tax breaks to the wealthiest. Let's be clear, our civil servants are not failing the American people. It's this administration that is dismantling our public service that is failing the American people. Who's being hired and not fired based on bias and not qualifications? Former Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin III, a decorated general with over 40 years of service who happens to be the first black man to lead the Pentagon? Or Pete Hegseth, a former Fox News host with no large-scale military command experience and a record of mismanagement? Let's be clear, diversity isn't the problem. Unqualified loyalty hires are. So for the sake of our mental health, our lives, our futures, we cannot get lost in this darkness. This darkness of disinformation, of corruption, and what has become psychological warfare to confuse, scare, and distract. Let's live in the light of the truth and speak it boldly again and again, standing here in the halls of our city's government with trans leaders, city council members, LGBTQ caucus members, the chief officer of the Office of Equity and Racial Justice. Something is very clear, that truth is alive and well here. Representation is alive and well here. But we cannot stop here, Chicago. We cannot stop here, Illinois. We cannot stop here, Cook County. We cannot slow down. This time last year, our nonprofit, Chicago Therapy Collective, was partnering with OERJ on an initiative to increase trans-inclusive hiring and workplace practices across 9 city departments. We need Commissioner Blakemore, we need Mayor Johnson, and we need our city council members to continue promoting that effort of trans inclusion across all of our city departments. Our city council just passed the trans femicide ordinance, a historic, urgent step to seek safety and justice for trans women of color, like our beloved Elise Mallory. But policy and planning alone won't save us. We need courage in every department, compassion in every workplace, and truth in every conversation. On this day of Trans Day of Visibility, let's remember visibility is about speaking the truth, which we all need to survive. To my fellow trans people, your existence is not up for debate. You are brilliant, you are necessary, and you are leading this country into the light. Thank you.
All right, thank you all so much. Moving on, I'd like to call our next speaker, Commissioner of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, Cook County, Precious Brady Davis.
Good morning. In 2009, Michigan-based trans activist Rachel Crander Crocker created the Trans Day of Visibility in response to a painful reality. The lives of trans people were too often ignored or only acknowledged in death. At that time, the only widely recognized day that centered on trans people was Trans Day of Remembrance, a solemn moment to honor those we've lost to anti-trans violence. Rachel understood that we deserve more than mourning. We deserve to be celebrated while we are alive. And I could not agree more. I stand before you today as the first Black trans woman ever elected to public office in Cook County. I'm proud to serve as one of the commissioners at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. I often say that the founders of the district likely never imagined a Black trans woman would one day have the responsibility of protecting Lake Michigan, the source of drinking water for over 5 million residents. Yet I am here. And I am not alone. We are living in a moment of unrelenting attacks, waves of hateful legislation, acts of bias and open bigotry targeting our community, and yet we rise. Now more than ever, trans people deserve to be seen, heard, and affirmed. Never before in our nation's history had a president singled out trans people in an inaugural address until Donald Trump. He and his allies have chosen to demonize us, to scapegoat us, to try and erase us. But here's the thing. We come from a legacy of resistance. And let me tell you, we are not going back into the shadows. That is the spirit we inherit from Stonewall, from the birth in 1969, where two brave trans women of color, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, ignited a movement that forever changed this country. Trans people are not a monolith. We are everywhere. We are artists, doctors, engineers, parents, and public servants. I am proud to be a mom, a wife, an author, and a dedicated public official. I may be the first Black trans woman elected in Cook County, but I am determined not to be the last. And I'm proud to live in the land of Lincoln, where LGBTQ rights are not just respected, they are enshrined. LGBTQ history is taught in schools. My husband and I became the first couple in the state to update our birth certificates to reflect our true identities. I'm proud of our progressive legislature, our governor, and our mayor, all committed to protecting our rights and dignity. To the trans youth who may be watching or listening, look at who stands before you. We are fighting for a world where you are celebrated, not just tolerated, where your identity is a source of pride and not pain. And to every trans person out there, I see you, I embrace you, and I will never stop fighting for our community. Thank you.
As you all see, we are not standing here begging to be cuddled or coddled. We are taking our rightful place as leaders. I call next speaker, Caprice Carthens, the board chair of Life is Work.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Caprice Carthens, CAPRICE-CARTHANS. I am the founder and executive director of Equity Alliance Health and the laboratory director of Accelerex Pharmacy, but I'm here as the board chair for Life is Work. And I am in charge of the girls. As a 68-year-old Black trans woman, I have been around long enough to know where the skeletons are. We are under attack from an administration who is now trying to erase and eradicate us. And at Life is Work, that's not what we do. Now is not the time to panic. Now is not the time to hide and be terrified. Now is the time to stick together and collaborate. at Life is Work. If you go to our website, www.lifeiswork.org, you can find out all the supportive services that we do in terms of supporting our trans folks, but not just trans folks, because if you're not at the table, you are on the menu. Right now, everybody is on the menu. Everybody. There's also, once you go to the website at www.lifeiswork.org, you will find a donate button. Please don't feel free to donate. Our resources are all in jeopardy. Funding is in jeopardy, but life still must move. Now is not the time to panic. Now is the time to collaborate. My name is Caprice Carlton, Board Chair for Life is Work.
All right, everybody, moving along. Thank you all so much for spending your morning with us. Next, I call Asher McMahon, they, them pronouns, Trans Upfront, Illinois.
Hello, everyone. My name is Asher, A-S-H-E-R, McMaher, M-C-M-A-H-E-R, and my pronouns are they, them. I am the Executive Director of Trans Upfront, and I stand here today with the immense pride as the leader of the first trans deaf-led organization in the state of Illinois. In honor of Trans Day of Visibility, I stand alongside fellow organization leaders who represent various intersections of marginalized communities within the trans and gender nonconforming community. Like us, they fight each day to serve and honor the diverse and complex identities that is within our community. I am proud to be a part of this moment, a moment of recognition, yes, but also a moment of reckoning. Our organization is dedicated to serving transgender and gender nonconforming individuals ranging from youth as young as the age of 4 all the way through young adults and their parents as they navigate complex systems that are often inaccessible, such as medical, legal, and educational, because each person deserves access to their rights to be seen, validated, and heard. We turn to state policies and executive orders regularly, such as the Illinois Executive Order 19-11 and the Illinois Civil Rights Act, as tools to advocate for our clients. But in today's climate, that's no longer enough. These harmful executive orders enacted by the Trump administration, coupled with the emboldened discrimination by its followers, have made it clear our work is far from over. At Trans Upfront, we know that supporting families is not a one-size-fits-all effort. We serve families of all identities, races, ethnicities, religions, immigration statuses, and abilities. We understand that each transgender and gender nonconforming person's journey is shaped by the layers of their intersectional identities. And we must honor each of those as we navigate each step, which is why our work is rooted in providing comprehensive intersectional support for every individual we serve. As we continue forward in these challenging times, especially under the Trump administration, it is crucial that we remain steadfast in our commitment to the most vulnerable among us. Illinois is proud to call itself a sanctuary state, but sanctuary is not just a place. It's a commitment to inclusivity, equity, and protection. Today, I stand before you with a demand. It is time to strengthen our policies to ensure that they are inclusive of all gender and transgender and gender nonconforming individuals. We cannot afford to sit idle as the rights of our community continue to be under attack. We must ensure that our laws, systems, and society are designed to affirm and uplift our community. As we face these challenges, it's more important than ever that we come together as a united community. Trans Upfront has formed a coalition that yesterday completed a protest with over 50 organizations standing with us, because we know as one united community, we have to come together to fight. Our strength lies within our solidarity. And through that unity, we can build a future where every individual is seen, heard, and protected. Let us recommit ourselves to the fierce advocacy and ensuring that we speak out and take action for the rights of trans people. Through our collective effort, unwavering support, we will fight for a world where no one is ever left behind. Thank you.
All right. While visibility may be under attack, as you see from all these speakers, that it is alive and it is well. Next, I have the absolute pleasure to bring up to this podium the state representative of the 14th District, the Honorable Kelly Cassidy.
Good morning. My name is Kelly Cassidy. I use she, her pronouns. I am the state representative of the 14th District, representing the neighborhoods of Edgewater, Andersonville, Rogers Park, and West Ridge. And I'm here today frustrated with my fellow Democrats. Iggy's words are resonating. The trans community will not be a punching bag for the Republican Party, nor will it be a scapegoat for the Democratic Party. I challenge my colleagues to join me in unwavering support, unblinking support for the most vulnerable in our community. I challenge my fellow Democrats to not pretend that there is a strategic reason to throw anyone under the bus. I challenge my colleagues to stiffen their spines, open their hearts, and understand that the path to victory is together. Thank you.
All right. So many folks up here are near and dear to my heart, but our next speaker is certainly someone who holds that place as well. The Alderman of the 4th Ward, the Honorable Lamont J. Robinson.
Good morning. I'm Lamont Robinson, Alderman of the 4th Ward. I want to thank the great organizations that are assembled this morning that put together this press conference. This press conference, ladies and gentlemen, is not for us. It is for our youth. It is to let our youth know that there are history makers in the trans community. We've heard from Commissioner Precious Brady Davis. We also have our trans sister, Judge Quinn. This press conference today, ladies and gentlemen, is to let our youth know that we love them, that we support them, and they are in the state of Illinois, in the city of Chicago, where we have a governor, and Governor J.B. Pritzker, that supports our trans brothers and sisters. We have a mayor in Brandon Johnson that also supports our trans brothers and sisters, a speaker and Speaker Welch in the House, and President Harmon, Senate President. I've spent my career in government fighting for the rights, protection, and support of the LGBTQ+ community. I've passed legislation to safeguard and expand access to critical services such as housing and HIV testing and prevention that is now currently under attack. I've led efforts to ensure LGBTQ history is taught in our schools with my colleague, Kelly Cassidy. It is a great honor to join my esteemed colleagues at the city, state, and county level to celebrate the trans community and highlight trans visibility and what it means in the city of Chicago. The trans community is responsible for much of Chicago's rich culture. It is vibrant, it is beautiful. The neighborhoods I represent on the south side of Chicago have historically been home to the trans community. It is also home to one of the greatest organizations in this state, and that is Brave Space Alliance. My sister and my friend, Shannon Lynn Parker, runs that great organization. But ladies and gentlemen, it is just not an LGBTQ organization. You see, Brave Space Alliance deals with housing insecurity. It deals with food insecurity for all Chicagoans. And I want to thank Brave Space Alliance and Shannon Lynn Parker for their amazing work. International Transgender Day of Visibility is an opportunity to recognize, empower, and celebrate our trans brothers and sisters and their contributions not only to the city of Chicago, but to the country. But while voices of hate and arrogance in Washington are empowering bigots across the nation, today we must be clear about our unwavering support for our trans brothers and sisters. And as Kelly Cassidy said, Representative Cassidy said, some of us have to strengthen our spines. Some of us have to stand up against hate. And friends, we know who you are, and we will be at your doorstep to support our trans brothers and sisters. So let us be clear today. Chicago will always be a transgendered sanctuary city. And we will always stand against bigotry and transphobia. We will never tolerate transphobia in our city and our state. The hate and violence will forever celebrate the greatness of the trans community. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we certainly have work to do. We certainly know in the city of Chicago, we have murders that have not been solved. And so, although we stand and support our trans brothers and sisters, we have to make sure that we protect them. And we protect them today. We also protect them for the lives that have been lost in the city of Chicago. And so today is a day that we ask again that the state and the city work together to make sure that those murders have been solved. Because again, we can support this great community. We have to support them today, and we have to support them going forth. And so I want to thank again my colleagues from the city, the state, and county for continuing to support our brothers and sisters. Again, I want to thank the great organizations that do this work 365 days a year. Thank you, God bless you, and we love you.
Thank you so much for those words. So next I want to call up the amazing alderwoman of the 49th Ward, the Honorable Maria Haddon.
Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are? Human rights. Trans rights are? Human rights. I'm really honored to be here today with so many history makers, fighters, change makers, and allies. It's an honor to be an ally to our trans siblings, to represent the 49th Ward and Chicago City Council, which might be, I mean, we have to go back and forth with the 4th Ward, maybe a bit with the 48th on one of the queerest neighborhoods, I think, or wards in the city. But I know that one of the reasons that the 49th Ward is an outstanding community is because when I hear from my constituents, people live in the 49th Ward because they feel safe. Increasingly, people live in the 49th Ward because they feel like their kids are safe, that their interracial kids, that their trans kids, that their immigrant kids are safe, that they can go to school and enjoy our Chicago public schools, that they can go to our parks, that they can live in the communities that we have built, and that they're not just okay, they're not just tolerated, but they are embraced and part of our rich community. That's why I like living in the 49th Ward. Our speakers today, our trans leaders that you're hearing from, have noted that visibility today is more important than ever. And I'll say, trans people being scapegoated, being targeted, being told that they don't exist, we've seen this story before. We've seen this play out historically. And I know which side of history I'm going to be on. For those of us who are allies, for those of us who hope to be allies, for those of us who say that we believe in democratic values, that we support our democracy, this is a moment in time where you get to ask yourself, which side are you on? It's very simple. You don't have to read all the news. You don't have to listen to all the arguments. You don't have to do any research. It's a really, really easy assignment. Are you on the side of freedom and democracy and life? Or are you on the side of hate, bigotry, and death? It's very clear. I am honored to fight for our city, to fight to ensure that it remains a sanctuary city. I am proud that we live in a state, as many have mentioned, that has leadership that supports our values. And to those who maybe are kind of sitting at home and wondering why we need to have a day of visibility for our trans siblings, why we need to speak so much about our identities and show up, and why we talk about how representation matters, I'll say, I don't know about all of you guys. I would really love to just exist and not have to be like visible and active all the time. I think most people really just want to live their lives, and they want to like go to school and go to work and like buy their groceries, cook their dinner, go to the park, you know, look good. You all look very good. But there are people who want to eliminate our rights. There are people who want to make it so trans people don't exist in this country, right? They are coming for our trans siblings. They're coming for the rest of us. They're coming for the rest of us one at a time. And so we need to be visible. We need to show our representation, and we need to fight. And we need all of your help. Thank you.
To erase trans people would be like trying to blot out the sun. It is just not possible. I call up the alderwoman of the 26th Ward, the very dapper, very fly, Honorable Jessie Fuentes.
Good morning. I'm Alderperson Jessie Fuentes, and I represent the 26th Ward, Humboldt Park, Hermosa, Belmont, Cragen, Logan Square, and West Sound. I represent a community where in our Puerto Rican parade, we see pride and trans flags wave as high as Puerto Rican flags. I represent a ward where La Casa Norte houses LGBTQ youth from the ages of 16 to 24, where the Puerto Rican Cultural Center opened up El Rescate and the Trans Empowerment Center to make sure that young people in our community feel safe. I represent a community that knows how to radically love people when they show up authentically as themselves. And I belong to a city council that has the largest LGBTQ caucus that we have seen in its history. Look, you all, this far-reaching assault on our trans sibling by this administration will not happen without a fight. And you see it here with every single leader that represents organizations across the city of Chicago. We are a sanctuary city, and we stand 2 feet to the ground in our commitment to ensure that that is always the case. This administration will not disappear our trans and gender expansive siblings. It will not happen. Today, I want to talk to the individuals that are home, who may turn on a channel and see this press conference today, or maybe they're on the train on the way to work, and they're watching while we're streaming. It is not the time to be complacent. You see, because when they come for one of us, they come for all of us. And we are going to stand collective in our fight to ensure that individuals can be who they are and love who they want and not have to fear for their day-to-day existence. We are going to continue to ensure, despite the federal cuts, that we do what is right in ensuring that we have gender-affirming health care, that we have organizations providing services, that we have equal housing, that we address the food needs in our community, and that we do not leave one person out of that equation. For the individuals that are home, I want you to know that you have a home in the city of Chicago, that we are going to fight every single day to ensure that you are safe. To my young people who show up to school every single day and go home to parents and different families, and to the many beautiful neighborhoods in the city of Chicago, I want you to know you have elected officials, organizers, executive directors, attorneys who are fighting to keep you safe. Look, we are going to continue to ensure that trans siblings are doctors, lawyers, organizers, elected officials. We're not going to stop educating our trans siblings. We're not going to stop electing them to every level of government, because this is the country we have fought for, and we are not going back. It is my honor. It is an honor of a lifetime to serve in a city like Chicago. And we are going to continue to ensure that we are great and that tomorrow we are better. Thank you.
All right. Hang in there with me, y'all. We got 2 more speakers left after this one, of course. I'd like to call up the amazing, my friend, Cook County Commissioner of the 15th District, Honorable Kevin Morris.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Kevin Morrison. I use he, him pronouns. I am the county commissioner representing the 15th district, covering the northwest suburbs, which spans from Des Plaines to Elgin, all the Barringtons. You know, I grew up in a very homophobic area of the county, but I am proud that my neighbors have changed, that they support our community, and they helped elect the first openly LGBT person elected to the Cook County Board of Commissioners. I'm also proud that today I could say that I am not the last queer person we elected to the county board, because we got my colleague Maggie Trevor here with me today. And of course, we have Anthony Quezada, who unfortunately is ill today, but we've got 3 queer members of our 17-member board, making us one of the most queer represented county boards in the nation. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today, all of our amazing transgender and non-binary leaders and heroes who are here with us in this fight, all of our allies. We are all here because we believe in the rights of LGBTQ plus people, especially those who identify as transgender and non-binary. Every day, it seems like there is a new attack coming from the Trump administration, finding new ways to target our community. At times, it is difficult to keep up with the size and scale of such cruelty that will cost lives. But in the face of this, everyone standing here with us, with me, refuses to bend on this issue. We will not retreat from the plight of our family, our friends, and our neighbors when they need us most. Our constituents should know that we are here for them. Here in Cook County, we stand as a beacon of hope for everyone in the LGBTQ+ community. We work hard to build a safe and welcoming community for all. As the first openly LGBTQ person elected to the county board, I was proud to author an amendment making Cook County one of the most trans-protective counties in the nation, protecting our trans and non-binary community when it comes to housing and employment. Everyone in Cook County should be able to identify as their true, authentic self without intervention or persecution from their government. In Cook County, my colleagues and I will fight with every tool available to protect our transgender residents. And as someone who loves history, we all must remember that we, at this moment, must look at what has happened before. What did the Nazi regime do? The first community they attacked was our trans family. And there were a lot of cisgendered queer individuals who felt safe, that they were never coming for them. But when they come for one of us, they will most certainly come for all of us. We must be present, we must be loud, and we must consistently take action because this flawed administration, every time they slip and people speak up, they backtrack. So we must keep on the fight, we must keep loud, and we must never forget, because we have a bright, beautiful future for all of us. Our trans community is gorgeous, beautiful, loved, and impactful, and we must continue fighting for each and every single one of our siblings. Thank you.
All right. Next, I'd like to call up the Deputy Chief of Staff for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Cook County, Michael Self.
Good morning. My name is Michael Self. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in the Office of the Cook County Board President. President Preckwinkle asked me to share her sincere regrets for not being able to join us today. She wants you all to know this issue is deeply important to her, and she's committed to standing alongside our transgender, non-binary, and gender-expansive communities, not just today, but every day. It means something special to be gathered here in City Hall. This is a place where policy takes shape, where voices must be heard, and where our commitment to inclusion and justice must always remain clear. I want to join the others in acknowledging the elected officials, community leaders, advocates, and most importantly, to the members of our transgender and non-binary communities. Your resilience, bravery, and strength are at the heart of this day of visibility. And I must say, visibility matters, but we owe you more than that. Transgender people experience struggles that many overlook: housing instability, healthcare access, and economic insecurity all impact our trans community members disproportionately. And these challenges are often made worse by discrimination and stigma. As government leaders, we must acknowledge this openly and act accordingly. We also must never shy away from the truth about violence against trans folks. Too often, society tries to erase or minimize the humanity of trans people. That is unacceptable, and together we will continue to push back against this harm in every manner at our disposal. As others have noted, unfortunately, there have been troubling moves at the federal level lately that threaten critical healthcare access. Funding is on the chopping block, services have been targeted, and medical care unjustly restricted for transgender people. This includes veterans and active military personnel, folks who have laid their lives on the line for this country. Let me be clear, healthcare decisions belong solely to individuals, their families, and their medical providers, not politics. Cook County will continue standing strong with our transgender and non-binary communities. Today, we celebrate you. Tomorrow, we continue fighting alongside you. And every day after, we commit ourselves fully to ensuring a safer, fairer, and more inclusive community for all. Thank you.
And for our final speaker, before we close out and give you all the floor for any questions, the Executive Director of the Department of Human Rights and Ethics, Cook County, Jennifer King.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Jennifer King, and I use she, her pronouns. I am the Executive Director for Cook County's Department of Human Rights and Ethics, which includes Cook County's Commission on Human Rights. I am proud to represent the Commission today to celebrate Transgender Day of Visibility. The Cook County Commission on Human Rights works to protect people in Cook County from harassment and discrimination in many areas, including housing and employment. Cook County has some of the most expansive human rights protections in the country, with more than 20 protected classes. We investigate instances in which individuals or an entity in Cook County has discriminated against or harassed someone based on their protected class, which would include race, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, and bodily autonomy. In 2023, the Commission was grateful to support and work with Commissioner Morrison, the Human Relations Committee, and the entire Cook County Board of Commissioners to revise and expand the definition of gender identity. Additionally, we were equally grateful to see protections added for bodily autonomy to mean the self-governance over one's own reproductive options and gender identity status, including reproductive health care and gender-affirming care. These protections are and continue to be of great importance, and Cook County remains a safe and welcoming county. Unfortunately, we recognize that many continue to experience hatred, discrimination, and harassment. Therefore, we encourage you to file a complaint if you believe that you have experienced harassment or discrimination, so that we can work to support a remedy for your experience and to ensure that individuals know that discrimination is not tolerated in Cook County. We take seriously at the Commission our role to be an accessible and trusted partner, and we are always available for questions and for individuals who want to file a complaint via our online form, and we can also be contacted at human.rights@cookcountyil.gov. Thank you.
Do not assume that there is no trans person in your life. If anything, if there is anyone that may be invisible, it may be that trans person who yet does not have the bravery to become visible. The greatest thing that you can do is create space and opportunity to allow that person to fully and authentically and boldly proclaim their identity and come forth with the truth of who they are. There's two things that are consistently denied of trans people, and that's their access to thrive, and that is their access to personhood. There is no way that every organization and every leader in this state, in this country, in this city can be here today. I want to lift up the amazing task force on the city's west side, led by Dr. Chris Balthazar. I want to lift up the Puerto Rican Cultural Center, who has been doing amazing work for decades. And again, I want to reiterate and lift up the amazing Life Is work, led by my sister, and folks, leader here today, the amazing Zahara Monique Bassett. And again, y'all, these are just a fraction of organizations and leaders that do this work daily to lift up the lives of individuals who are so often finding themselves trodden. But in the words of Maya Angelou, just like dust I rise. So again, thank you all so much.